Great, thanks for being here, lovely audience. Feel free to come in a little closer if you want to.
Or leave.
Right, or leave if you prefer. Yeah, absolutely fine. For those of you who are here, we're really pleased to see you, and we may get a few stragglers coming in as we go along. So, hello, I'm Gareth, I'm your friendly host, and I think what you need to know about me is that I host quite a lot of events. I have a background in journalism, so BBC, science reporting and technology, mainly on the radio, but a bit telly, but people say I've got a better place for radio. Yes, you've heard that before. Thank you very much. Yes, appreciate that. But probably the less I'm speaking, the better the panel is going. It's not about me, it's about our guests. So I'm going to introduce them, and just in a completely logical way, let's go from my right or your left and start with Giovanna, who is over here, who is very, very interesting, and is Giovanna Melfi. You pronounced that
amazing. Thank
Italian there. So she's founder and CEO of Verbal Communications, is a serial entrepreneur and knows all about disruption. So, in other words, you've seen a little bit, you've lived a little bit, and you've seen a few phases, business cycles come and go in your time, Giovanna.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I still do every day.
You still do every day. Every day is a learning experience.
Absolutely.
So, what I'm going to do with Giovanna and all our panellists is just kind of get a little comment from them just to start the discussion going, and then we'll obviously open it up and open that. So the question I have for each of our panellists is based on challenges or opportunities. And Giovanna is somebody who helps people get the message out a lot. We're hitting on what is a big challenge for people in business, which is you've got a great product, you've maybe got some great backing, but it's nothing unless people know about it, is it?
Absolutely, especially if you're talking about branding. You know, I've been worked, my previous life, let's call it like this, so I left 10 years ago, I was 20 years in corporate in luxury brands. So as you can imagine, I was presenting and representing so many of the big names, including Burberry, Marc Jacobs, Gucci. So I know what is the meaning to have a brand, which is so important today, especially in a disruptive world where you have so many brands out there that you have to navigate in a way that you communicate your name, your purpose, your scope, what is your product, what is your service, and it's not that simple. Absolutely, and actually I believe that the social media made even more complicated. And now I'm moving to the metaverse, which is another planet. So it's quite an experience.
Many challenges, but opportunities for people like you
Absolutely.
to help people out. There we go. All right, so next on our panel is Gabriel Jarroson, who is with Lobster Capital, and he invests up to $1 million at a time, $1 million at a time into cool startups. That's his words, and mine, by the way. I like the way he's just sometimes startups are just freaking cool, and if they're cool enough and if they're a good enough case, you'll invest in them, Gabriel. So, getting on this whole thing of challenges and opportunities, I'm going to put it to you that AI, especially generative AI, and even more especially GPT-based generative AI startups, what a great opportunity that is. Agree or disagree?
Thank you for that. I would obviously, as you know, rather disagree. I do think Gen AI is a great opportunity for the world, but I haven't made any investments yet. So I specialize in investing in startups from Silicon Valley, and more specifically from the best incubator in the world, located in San Francisco, called YC, Y Combinator. And so it's fun that 80% of the latest batch of those startups were Gen AI. But I haven't made any investments, and I do think GPT-based startups are just piggybacking on the real value that is ChatGPT itself. This is where I would have wanted to invest. Microsoft put 10 billion in, so they were, I guess, better than me on that one. But the value on created on top of that for me is very, very, very minimal. And so yeah, it's interesting to be living in Gen AI, not investing in it at the moment. I can expand, but I'll leave it to your.
Yeah, no, sure. Looking forward to that expansion as we go along. Great. Also joining us is Sara, who is CEO and co-founder of, do I say this? Nifties.
Yeah.
I've got it. So it's a play because it's obviously meant to make you say NFT.
Yeah.
So
for business.
Nifties. Nifty. So see, already, Giovanna will like this. We're talking about your brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's good branding that we're all just learning. Once we know how to say the name of your business, we'll know we'll just wake up in the middle of the night seeing it and wanting to invest in it.
And to remember.
So, something to do with NFTs. Big challenge for you then. People saying NFTs, load of hype. People at NFT may hamster these days. Who cares about it? Where's the business?
Yeah, absolutely, every day. So, for those who don't know me, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Nifty's, as you mentioned, but I'm also the co-chair of the startup working group at Crypto Valley in Switzerland, and lecturer in blockchain for business and law in Sweden. And so I'm very used to speaking to a lot of startups in this space. I've been mentoring a lot of startups along the way, and that's why I started my journey as a startup entrepreneur, because I said, unless I do it, how can I mentor other people? Then of course, after all the 2017 and 2018 chaos of blockchain, I decided to get my hands dirty, research the market very well, and understand, what businesses around the world really need. And they don't need bored apes. They need actually to understand how to generate revenue from their digital assets in a clever way, in a clean way, with a reputable team and reputable great technology behind it, and that's exactly what we've done. But of course, at the moment, every single time you mention NFT to an investor, you probably have these faces looking at you like, oh my god, another NFT project, without knowing that there is so much more behind that word.
Okay. Maybe it's just NFT has a bad brand.
Oh yeah.
It's just, yeah, so you're here to fix that as well, by giving it, if nothing else, a fun name as well.
Yeah.
I'll stop fixating on the name, and we want to get even further into the serious discussion that we started on with there, which is great. Now, also, final panellist to meet today, of course, as you can see, he's here, right? Maindonald, who is the founder of Hyperlight Ventures, and he's also a long-term property developer, now going into his first fund, setting up his first VC, and things are progressing very well on that. And it's only one thing you might not know about him, but he used to sing in a band, in a rock band. So things you find out about him.
Actually, you should also know that Millie used to play the keyboard in the same band, so yeah.
There you go.
That's how we met.
I was a keyboard player in the 90s.
That's right.
So we've known each other a while. And if he keeps calling me Millie, like
Sorry.
my nickname, I don't mind, I like being called Millie. Keep the Millie going, the audience can do as well. So that was my nickname soon after I left school and to university, and I still had that nickname when we were playing in the band together, and everyone's rehabilitated that name, and I love it. So it's like, I'm just explaining, people think, where's Millie? Where is she?
To me, you have no other name.
Rightly so. So let's think about a challenge and or opportunity for you. So you're getting together a VC at the moment, and these are pretty challenging times economically, lots of opportunities of course, but there ain't a whole lot of money around, is there? It's a bit of a challenge.
That's an interesting point. If you read the press, it would be suggest to you that there isn't a lot of money around. And it's true to say that it's harder to raise money now than it was maybe 12 or 24 months ago. Money for a long time was not quite free, but almost. Interest rates are so low that if you borrowed money, it didn't cost you a lot. But nonetheless, venture capital is a longer-term asset class, and so people are still investing in venture capital. And actually, if you look at the statistics, they actually show that there is more investment going into venture capital now than there was. So it's growing. And I think the point about venture capital is that it bucks the cycles. Because it's a long-term investment, you have the luxury of being able to exit when the market's good, and you have the luxury of being able to invest when there are bargains to be had. So VC funds are generally 10-year funds. They generally, if the timing is not right to exit at the end of 10 years, maybe we've still got a few portfolio companies, there's usually an option to extend the fund just so as to get the maximum value for the investments that are in it. So I think what you say may be true across the board. People are being more careful with what they do, but there is still more money going into venture capital than there ever has been.
Yeah, okay. Which is, that's cheered me up, definitely, I'm sure. The many people in the room, I think, feel the ripples of relief. Oh no, there's not many people, but anyway, you get the vibe anyway. So, And thank you very much, by the way, for the people who are being here, because it's lovely and sunny outside, and here you are coming in to listen to us. But you've made a good decision, believe you me. And if you've got any questions as we go along, it seems we're a nice small group. You know, if you just want to interrupt us, I'm fine. I'm good with being heckled. If you want to just be part of the discussion and give us your thoughts or what have you, that's good as well. Right. So the first word in the title of this panel, I think, or the second word is it's not challenge, it's not opportunity, but disruption with a colon. Right? So we need to talk about disruption. And I wonder if we can do that, and we'll carry on talking to you over the scenes you were talking there, and we'll go around the rest of the panel. When we think about disruption, we all have different views on what it means. And, you know, I have a background in radio, for instance, so I might say, well, podcasting, that's kind of like a disruptive industry in radio, especially I spent a long time with a legacy broadcaster, so I don't know what disruption looks like in my space. But in our discussion around disruption, I also do want to get into some trends, things that people here should be, or maybe already are, looking forward to over, say, the coming 10, 20 years or what have you. So let's get on trend with you, Evan, to start with then. And you must be looking at the trends out there because you need an idea of what you're going to invest in. So what do you see out there? Is it climate tech? Is it blockchain? Is it none of the above, all of the above?
So I think from the perspective of Hyperlife Ventures, we're looking at what I would call macro trends. And blockchain to me is a technology, it's an enabling technology. I know the Crypto Valley initiative quite well actually. In fact, I don't know if you know Gunter Eberhardt was ideal, so he's, I know, quite involved in that whole Swiss initiative. And I think it's interesting because it seems to me that that is about how you can really use the underlying technologies like blockchain to deliver value, which sort of skips around this whole bubble, this blockchain and crypto and NFT bubble, and actually focuses on how value can be delivered. So, but I think from an investor's perspective, it's more about how value is going to be delivered and how that will change the way that consumers buy things or create new things that they buy. So one of the things that I am very excited about is the potential for digitalisation of the construction supply chain, which sort of sounds like it might be a bit boring, but actually if you think about it, at the moment, construction is a very manual thing. It's something I understand very well because I spent 20 years in property development and investment. So I started in the tech industry, went to that, come back to the tech industry. The property construction at the moment is something that's prone to errors, very much relies on people, and it's one of those industries that hasn't really been digitised or disrupted yet. The way that that industry, I believe, will be disrupted is that it will start with metaverse-based design. So instead of paying an architect to go and draw something for us, we'll go into the metaverse, we'll move blocks around, we'll make the thing that we want. That will already be digital. There'll be an AI-based assistant that takes that and turns that into something that can be built, what we call detailed design in the construction process today. And that thing will be built using Internet of Things enabled robots, drones, and 3D printed construction. Now, not all of that's going to come about at the same time, but certainly some pieces of it are starting to come about. 3D printed construction is an area which is growing really strongly. It's forecast to grow by, believe it or not, 87.5% per annum between now and 2030. So it's about a $6 billion industry at the moment, which is still pretty big. It's forecast to grow to $750 billion by 2030. And so one of the portfolio companies that we are working with and investing in is a Silicon Valley-based company that specialises in a particular part of the 3D printed construction market. There are two companies in that market, Icon and Mighty Buildings, who have already achieved valuations in excess of $2 billion. So it's a market with a huge amount of potential. So that's just one of a number of pieces of that value chain that will come into being over a period of time. And that's one that I'm very excited about.
Okay, I'm sure we'll hear about others as we go along then. So, so what about in the digital asset space then with you, Sarah? Because are NFTs considered to be disruptive at the moment? I don't quite know whether the state of the play is, but certainly where do you see the trends there? And for instance, I'm just starting a new podcast. I'm not here to plug it, but could I NFT that?
Absolutely. First of all, I mean, I would like to go back to the definition of disruption, right? Because for me, it's more about changing the status quo and really trying to find opportunities where nobody sees an opportunity, or finding a solution where we can see a problem. And it's interesting to be here on this panel as an entrepreneur between two investors who are based here in the UK but are investing outside of the UK, in Silicon Valley.
Gabriel's based on the conversation.
No, but I mean, sorry, in France, yeah, we know that, but European kind of based. But both of you are investing in Silicon Valley companies, and that's already a big problem for the industry, because if investors wanting to really disrupt this industry should start investing, within the country that produces the IP. So that's the first disruption, which sounds a little bit like, controversial, but actually this should be the status quo.
Well, just on that, then, Gabriel, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, Sarah's made a very compelling case, hasn't she?
I mean,
they have an investment thesis, though. We know that.
I have a thesis. It's an interesting point. I get asked about this all the time, which is, absolutely normal. I live in France, and most of my investors are French, and invest their money in the US. Why would I do that? There's a lot of startups in France, and also in the UK. I personally approach this with complete, cold rationality instead of emotions. My emotions make me very proud to be European, to be French, and investors trust me with their money because they want the best return possible. I'm a computer science engineer originally, so I look at the actual numbers, and the best outcomes in the startup world all happen in Silicon Valley today. And so I think my responsibility as an investor is to get the best outcome possible for my investors and to invest in Silicon Valley. Now that being said, I'm really paying a lot of attention to what's going on in Europe. I think it's going in the right direction. I think it really is progressing very quickly. And I would be delighted to change my mind as soon as I believe, without any emotions, that the returns can be the same.
Well, we'll bring Giovanna in and say, Sarah, let's get to carry on.
I am sorry to have started the conversation, but
this is all good. And I know you specifically that was the first of a number of points you were going to make, but just on that, the message might be, yeah, of course, when there's a business case, an investment case for businesses outside Silicon Valley, of course, we'll invest in them, but the time isn't right yet, Sarah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, it's interesting because we were talking with Giovanna, who's actually, also one of our advisors, and I keep saying that investors are like birds, they all follow, one, and I'm sorry if I offend someone here, but I don't want to offend anyone, but it is the reality, right? So you always wait for that lead investor to jump in, you do due diligence, check that team is, reputable team, they are doing some amazing things, and then everybody else jumps on that. And for some reasons, we believe that the US produces better, entrepreneurs than the UK, which for me is like, mind-blowing. We produce fantastic IP in this country. I'm telling you as an immigrant in this country. So, and producing IP here. And, that is what we really need to disrupt, the mentality of the investors that are coming here, listening to our pitches, trying to connect with us, at an event like this one, where we should be building something for the future and building IP here and build growth here and keep the talent here instead we're sending the talent abroad.
Yeah, okay, everyone understands, but Giovanna, okay, as the comms person on the panel, and also you've seen and continues to see a lot of disruption. You see disruption every day, you're seeing it break out on the stage here.
Oh, yes.
Oh, what are you seeing then?
It's very interesting because I always believe disruption as a positive thing, because it's really break the barrier of conversation. You see how we're becoming passionate about what we do, and disruption is all about having passion for a new idea and go for it. Whatever is a new mindset, whatever is a product, whatever is a service, whatever it is, but go for it. For example, I'm based in Dubai, okay? So, and in Dubai, I hear all the time the UK brand, they are amazing. Everybody wants to invest the UK brand. I'm coming here and I'm listening how struggling UK brand do. And I'm like, what's going on? Something doesn't tally.
Yeah, the Beatles, for goodness sake.
Exactly. So, you know, and I found this really interesting, the conversation, because I love what Ian does, because I work, some of my clients, and I also work and collaborate with gaming, and especially with one of the biggest software in the world who's created simulation for is Unreal Engine. I'm working with Epic Games. So, and I know they create simulation for architects, so they have the best simulator, and I was just training to be a developer, so I saw how the machine and the software create a simulation of building in a fast way, and in a pretty safe way. I don't know even disruption about what he thinks, but he's doing great stuff on the paper, when before I have friends that are standard architect, and they have the pen and the liner, and they were just doing design. Now we're just moving to another dimension, where between 3D printing and simulators, you can create a safer building, you can create faster, you can create better, you know, and cheaper, and you can give a house.
Digital twins as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So as you can see, construction is everywhere.
Yeah.
I must admit that also, because I'm also doing investor relations, so I'm always on the two sides. I know how it's difficult for investors to go out there and to have, like, mainly of today, say, trust, because trust is very important. And in the industry, they give a lot of, especially the media, they give a lot. I'm sure that Gareth, you know about. We switch on the TV, and there is always a blast of some negative media, something happened, some scams, and so on. So that doesn't really help, right? Because so we need to make sure that we have the balance in the middle. You are speaking as much as people as possible. I know the investor want to invest the money, but definitely they're not splashing cash like they used to be.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Maindonald, at one point, wanted to make a point.
I did. I wanted to say a couple of things. So, our investments and the investments of Hyperlight Ventures are or will be 80% UK. So you can do invest outside the UK, but the 3D printed construction one is interesting because it's one of the ways that we find our portfolio companies. It's not the only way, but one of them is we look at industries and we say, okay, where is the action in that industry, and what would the ideal company look like within our investment thesis? And our investment thesis is to invest in ventures that create positive social and environmental impact. And then we sort of go down into specific industries below that where we have core competence, and property / prop tech, 3D printed construction comes out of it. So we looked at 3D printed construction companies in the UK and Europe, and we could not find any investment opportunities. The only one we could find was actually not in Silicon Valley, but California. They're in LA. But I think the point is, and it supports Gabriel's point to some extent, that you have to go where the action is. And I think another point that's really important is that when you're running a venture capital fund, most of the money in the fund is not yours. So you have to be super careful with it. It's like borrowing someone else's car. You do not take it back dented. You take it back in better condition than it was when you got it. And so if you're investing other people's money, you can't afford to take risks. You can't afford to invest in anything but the best. And so I think this may help with entrepreneurs who are looking for investment. Venture capitalists who are forming funds focus on what their core areas of strength and competence are. And Gabriel has focused on his by focusing on Y Combinator startups. I've focused on mine by looking at investments that create positive social and environmental impact. And that simply is about leveraging that to get the best returns for our investors. And so I don't say that the entrepreneurs in Europe aren't as good as the ones in the US.
No.
But I think a lot of it is about the climate, the infrastructure that's around them to support them, and where the follow-on investments are. And that is building up, and that's part of
I think Sarah is dying to
Yeah.
We've got a good answer to this. So we're going to take that from Sarah, and then we're going to get a trend from you, Gabriel. So what are the trends that we're looking at? But come on, where are Evan and Gabriel? They're just missing a trick, aren't they?
No, I mean, it's just like, I don't know if you're aware, but in Manchester, which is just like an hour train ride from here, there is a 3D printing centre from the University of Manchester, which also has a fantastic accelerator program. We had before on a panel Professor Kelly Crockett, who is actually an MNU lecturer, and she specialized in AI. And from there, we've actually got quite a few different programs. One is in cybersecurity, the other one is in AI. And together with the 3D printing program, that's also sponsored by University of Manchester, Salford University, and of course MMU, and Lancaster University, we've got a fantastic pool of startups that are just basically there waiting to be invested. And the problem that we have is that these universities don't have the right contacts with the VCs and with the corporates that are going to come in and listen to these companies, listen them pitching. That is the real problem. It's not only a problem of having a VC. We are also missing corporate VCs. Corporates are coming in and just basically sponsoring these projects through a proof of concept. So that is basically what we're missing. And back to your points about investing in the best. Are you really, not in your case, but generally speaking, are VC really investing in the best? We are all aware that over 90% of their portfolio is going to die anyway after the seed round. So is this really good due diligence?
Well, they do their homework. I mean, we look at some of the efforts that everyone's
I'm
putting into.
That's my question, right?
I think both Gabriel and I would be disappointed if 90% of our portfolio can be sold, but we do expect a certain value.
Right, okay, sure. Look, I tell you what, let's have another chance.
Gareth, there is one thing that is missing, it's communications.
Okay.
A lot of times you have silos of communications, and sometimes they don't know. I mean, it's not because I want to protect or want to, I don't know, Gabriel.
Yeah.
But sometimes there is so much out there. There is so much disruption out there, and so many brands out there that it's very complicated. I don't know, and of course, what is your research?
Yeah, but it's comms at the VC level as well.
Well, I think one of the problems is the lack of depth of capital markets in the UK.
Yes.
And it's better in the UK than it is in France. I mean, apart from Gabriel, who's just based away.
We're just one man.
I think we need more VCs, and I think that's partly what this event is about. And one of the reasons I know that Gordon decided to hold this event in Leeds is because he knows that London is the centre of investment. If you're further away from London, the harder it is for you to raise money. But I think that point that you made about university, we don't have that linked up sort of research and intellectual property through to business creation model that exists in the US and in places like Harvard and Stanford. So I do think we need to work. That's what I mean when I say infrastructure. We need more VCs, more investment, more of that.
Absolutely. I mean, I found my investors in Hong Kong. It's just a thing. So I feel like it's a bit of controversy, but yeah.
I'm liking this.
So we're gonna go to Mars.
Right, we've all had a drink. This is really taking off, this time in the afternoon. I love it.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Sarah. So, we've got about another minutes or so. So, we've heard from Evan about this very exciting space then in the construction and process chain. A lot of disruption happening there, lots of opportunities, and I'm sure some risks. What are you seeing and what trends are you interested in or investing in?
Being in touch with Y Combinator, once again, the biggest, most famous incubator in the world, I think it enables me to see the latest trends, because I think they really probably are the smartest people in the startup world. They've proven that, the numbers back it up. And so when they jump on a new trend, everyone else is going to jump on the trend. And they've been thinking long and hard before jumping on the trend. So you look at the startups that actually take you to the incubator, and this trend is actually something meaningful. So there's a lot of new trends and big disruptions that I see from Y Combinator. Web3, NFT, crypto, blockchain, the largest sense is one of them. And I think there's a potential to disrupt all of the financial industry, parts of it, let's say, not all of it, parts of it, and all of the trust lessons. But there's a lot of other sectors that I think are very interesting. The space industry is really now becoming very, very interesting, and you probably saw the latest SpaceX super big rocket being launched. It ended up exploding, but it's actually a revolution because it has, I think, 15x the storage space in it.
Yeah.
It's going to, drop the price down.
Starship, isn't it?
question.
Yeah.
Which I think is poor branding, so it doesn't actually get as far as the stars.
Yeah.
Anyway, heavens alert. I know what you mean.
Anyway,
it was one hell of a thing. And like in the media, for instance, not me, but some media said, oh, it was a failure. But it
Which it was at all.
not at all. It was a massive engineering success.
It was awesome.
Anywhere near a centimetre.
Yeah, and there's this breaking point where the rocket gets the maximum pressure and it actually survived that and it exploded much later. So they know that if it survived that very point, the rest is just tweaks and adjustments, but it's actually going to work. It's going to bring the cost of space, going to space by a factor of 10 down, and SpaceX already brought it down by a factor of 10, by the way, in the last 20 years. So space tech, I think, is very, very interesting, and that's one thing YC does focus on. There's also now, I think COVID was a great boost, a great help. All of the health tech in general, the mRNA vaccine and the mRNA technology. There's CRISPR technology, and if you mix all of these together with AI, which I'm going to come to in a minute, obviously, we now have a patient with a cancer. You take a blood sample, give it to the AI figures out a specific treatment for that person, and then it's back into the body with mRNA and CRISPR, and in 24 hours you're cured. So I mean, this might, in the next 10, 15 years, cure every single cancer there is, or there are. So that's amazing. AI is another trend. As I said, I think it's very, very, very early, but it has impact on everything else. And I think the last and the biggest is climate change. There's a lot of things.
You're not talking about that?
No, climate change is very interesting. I think it's going to come from all of those other things. AI optimizes everything and reduces the
We are all interconnected.
3D printing is going to help. Everything's right. But the last thing I think, and YC really focuses on it, and no one talks about it, is software in general. This is so boring. Come on, 2023 software. It's true. Software is eating the world. This is the famous sentence from Andreessen Horowitz, and I think it's still happening today. And still, I see year after year, I'm thinking myself, like, okay, software is going to come to an end. Like, everything has been done. That's not true. Every year you see new companies just with a piece of code, a computer, website, an app, something changing, disrupting, getting value, and AI is software.
Yeah, and producing the software as well, isn't it? Because obviously the code is just becoming so complex now as well. So it's kind of AI-assisted coding.
Absolutely.
No coding.
Absolutely.
Those are the big trends that I see. I don't invest in all of them. Space tech is too hardware for me. Medtech is too complex for me. But the rest, of course, I cover. I'm very interested.
And I suppose, like with space tech and climate change, so I suppose climate change is the risk, but the enormous opportunity, and there are all kinds of incentive mechanisms now that make a great business case for climate tech. Space, as we've just been talking about, the really great big rocket that went bang, hell, it's risky. You've got to have some kahunas to invest in that, I'm sure, but there are rewards.
Yeah, I think there's some parallels between that and some other things that need enormous amounts of money put to them. So, in the climate change space, you've got things like nuclear fusion that people have been working on for maybe 50 years, but it's getting to a point where, in fact recently, a reactor was brought up that actually produced more energy than was consumed getting started. That's pretty significant. Yeah, I mean, the sun is basically a big nuclear fusion reactor, so what we're trying to do is create a vacuum where that can go on, and we can just put anything into it and it'll generate energy, completely clean energy. That is incredibly revolutionary. And I think this AI stuff, I would go further than Mark Andreessen and say that AI is now eating the world, because
Probably.
it is that is a new form of interface. And I think it's revolutionary in the sense that it enables us to communicate with computers in a way that we haven't before. We can just talk to them like they're people. I think
there's even AI that was plugged in on brainwaves. The AI actually figured out what the person was thinking.
Well, that's another thing, which I was going to get to, which is brain-computer interfaces, right? And you combine that with the metaverse, you don't need goggles anymore. The experience goes straight into your head and comes straight out of your head. It's the Matrix. Will we either need to come back to real life again? Combine that with these technologies that are, so for example, I don't know if anyone's heard of Replica, but this is an app that you can download that gives you a virtual companion. And people are using this virtual companion as a partner, a girlfriend, or a boyfriend. I mean, you can talk dirty to it if you want to, you have to pay for that. But people actually give this thing a name, it's on their phone, and they talk to it. And some people have got to the point where they feel like they don't need a relationship with a person anymore. Add a brain-computer interface to that, and where does that go? Do we spend any time in the real world anymore? These things, I think, will create significant social changes, social issues.
You know what? I always say that the best, the next generation of students should actually become psychologists. Because I think we're all going to need them, in the real world, because we are going to be so detached from reality, and people are not going to talk to each other, that we are going to have that massive problem.
Yeah. And the
disruption, right?
Yeah, hugely disruptive, and increasingly difficult it is, or impossible to discern human beings from smart chatbots as well, online.
So I'm just thinking also how much we can help people with disability, people that are blind, people that they physically stuck in place only and they cannot travel, for example. We're using some project in Anodi, we're using metaverse to make them the binoculars of metaverse, to make them travel. So you are stuck and you cannot travel, even if people cannot afford to travel, by the way, it's not only, but they can travel, they can see different places. So, and this one is an education, so technology can be used in a positive way to help those that they cannot afford, they cannot see, but see other places, meeting other people. There is a lot of people which I agree, I know regular, by the way, and I know some people is moving to that direction, but some other people is lonely in this world, really lonely, they don't have family, they lost it, and and we become in a society a little bit more individualistic. And the social worker, they are working extremely hard, and it's a very tough job. So we will need to think about an alternative. And why not communicating through tools, right?
Aging populations, more and more people moving to cities. Yeah, we have assistive technology as well. We haven't spoken about that yet. And we've run out of time. 3 minutes to go. I was going to, but we won't have time. But I was very interested in your MSc dissertation, Sarah, in machine learning and blockchain and digital marketing. Future of that, but that's a whole other panel, so forgive me, we won't quite get there, but I'd love to read your thesis.
You can
I do want to make one point on AI that I think it's really important to sort of see where this trend is going. It isn't just about ChatGPT and the tools that exist today. That will end up being specific to applications. So you, like Replica as your virtual partner, you're going to have an AI application for digital marketing. You're going to have an AI application for health. This market will segment into applications that are where you've got generative AI that's trained to do individual things. And I think that's an important trend to recognise in terms of where AI is going to take us.
All right, so you've got 30 seconds each then on, say, Emma's given his kind of, so what's ended up, I think, being his final thought.
Yeah, that's
fine. We have. Lovely, good work, good man, thank you. So 30 seconds each on your final thoughts, and we'll go from Sarah and work our way back to Giovanna, just on what we should be looking at for risks, challenges.
Disruption is about building on something that we already have, for me, right? And making it better in a way. So today, during these past 2 days, I had fantastic conversations, with some of the people that are actually on these tables, and they're entrepreneurs. We're going to disrupt their industries together through the power of Web3 technologies and AI, Web3 technologies and pets and the welfare of animals. And that's for me what is really disruption, using technologies, combining them and making something better.
30 seconds, thank you, Sarah. Okay, Gabriel.
I think there's a lot of people, you were talking about the kind of negative media, a lot of people that are pessimistic about the future, climate change, aging population, we're not going to talk to each other anymore, oh my god. I personally am very optimistic about the future, and I do think that technology helps us get there in a way or another. Climate change is the best example where the challenges ahead of us are tremendous and huge, but every day, every day we're inventing new solutions, so I'm very optimistic about the future.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. But whilst still being aware of technical solutions and it's not the panacea, all that stuff. I just want to get that. Great, Gabriel, thank you. That's amazing. And Giovanna.
I still believe that we need to focus on the human being. I want to go back to square one. I think that sometimes we forget that we are the disruptor and we create the technology. So why we don't talk to each other, and we need to find a solution, we need to find a balance, because we always need to the extreme before we find the balance.
Yeah.
So let's go back to us.
Go back to that as we end the panel. Exactly, on the nose, and the broadcasters for the last. Thanks to the panel.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.